Hi everyone, my name is Felix Mago. I'm the co-founder of Dash Next, and I'm super happy to be here at REIMAGINE 2020.
Hello everybody, welcome to the second edition of REIMAGINE 2020. I'm your host again with my partner Galen Danziger. We have another exciting discussion here with one of our friends, Felix Mago. And he's here to join us to give some of his insights and talk about what he's been doing and what we can expect in the future. For all of those that are tuning in that missed on the first REIMAGINE conference back in May, please visit REIMAGINE 2020, the website ri2020.io, or you can visit REIMAGINE 2020, our YouTube channel, to catch all 80 plus interviews and fireside chats. Basically, all these interviews are giving you blockchain insights, crypto talk, and market knowledge. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Felix here. Hi, Felix. How you doing today? Welcome.
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me. Very good here.
Glad to have you on the show. Let's kind of just get into this. So, Felix, we've been talking now for a few years. But your history goes back even further, right? You come from finance and stuff like that. Give us a quick little snippet of your journey prior to blockchain and crypto, and then how you got into blockchain. And you're part of a lot of projects and other companies, So what's your journey been like so far?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. So I started as a consultant in the finance industry over a decade ago. I mean, I'm kind of a old dog in the crypto space as well. We were always consulting companies how to do digital innovation, especially in the finance world. And as it turns out, it's very hard to do innovation. It's even hard to plan any business model around like a kind of a legacy business, such an old bank, right? And you end up in discussions with like, oh my God, how can we get rid of the paper we print out on a daily basis in like, let's say a credit or loan application process, And then came blockchain, let's say like that. Then came blockchain, and with big promises of how banks can, have better security, faster transactions, less trouble, better tech infrastructure, and everybody was like, yeah, let's do it. And we were starting to consult it. Everybody, all these big corporations were looking into it, but then most of them ended with the POC and thought like, oh my God, this is too crazy. We can't do it. We will not, get rid of our core banking system. And that journey brought me more and more into blockchain to do the complete switch in around 2015. I was writing a book like how people can buy Bitcoin, and then moved into the space more and more. So we have opened a blockchain academy in Germany where we still, help big corporations to find their business case around blockchain. And I've moved to Asia maybe 3 years ago, where we started a consulting company running a lot of projects, mainly focusing on Dash, on crypto payments, on crypto adoption, and on really, getting blockchain from an abstract thing to something people can use.
And thank you for that. And just to kind of go back a little bit through that process, that journey, that transition of traditional finance into Bitcoin, when did you first hear of Bitcoin?
That was 2013-14, and I was actually looking for my dad to help him copy some DVDs, and it happened to have a software from the Caribbean, and the software could be paid with credit cards, which I didn't want, and with Bitcoin. So I was like, what is this Bitcoin? How can we get it? And
really?
Back in 2013, it was a bit tricky to get it because there was not many options.
And when you were, consulting and stuff, what was the mindset of integrating like blockchain technology? Was that strong interest? I know you mentioned kind of stopping at the POCs, and we'll probably get into this a little bit later in the discussion, but I'm just trying to understand for all the viewers, right? We have a lot of students watching, a lot of beginners, and everybody's trying to wrap their heads, Bitcoin or blockchain isn't Bitcoin completely, and Bitcoin isn't blockchain completely. There's so many use cases, and we'll get into Dash shortly. But coming from the consulting side, like, were they super into integrating this tech? did they not care about it, or were they, ready to put the money, down on integrating this stuff and implementing blockchain?
And maybe to give a bit more clarification, so I was specifically working with an SAP partner for most of these companies were running on SAP ERP systems, right? So it was huge, large corporations, again, mostly from the banking and finance sector, who started to use SAP systems somewhat in the 90s, right? And since then, you have these ERP systems running, and whatever a new regulation comes out, whenever you launch a new product, you kind of integrate it into these systems to make it work with the rest of the things. But it's no surprise that the more you go with the corporation, the more you get stuck into this world, the more kind of you have like kind of a trajectory where things are going on the tech level, and it always leads to a situation where most of these companies have kind of an army of external SAP experts, because nobody can afford to have, neither are they in the market to hire them, nor could they afford it. So it always ends up in a situation where you pay like 50 external people and you have like a team of, 5 to 15 people in-house, So you always have external people who help you to deal with the new regulations and everything. So this is like kind of the status quo where most of the companies are. And then came, it's like new concepts came up, like design thinking and business model innovation, where, it became like kind of a buzzword where people suddenly started considering innovation as something everybody has to do. And everybody was talking about digitization, For me, a bit funny that kind of this move happened between 2010 and 2015, where, we already 20 years into usable internet, and actually almost 40 years into the internet, It's like, it's funny that you still talk about it, but if you look in the daily life of how do people work in big corporations, you will always see a lot of paper-based processes or cuts between digital paper-based cuts, right? Which ends up in many people who are printing out stuff to put it back into computers on the other side, right? So you have like on many, many levels, you realize there's digital stuff, or digital technology can help us to do actually better business, right? But this is exactly the gap. This is where you are and where you could be. And the bridge over there, or the way over there, is super, super complicated. And, it always breaks at the end of the day down to people and processes they do in their daily life. And it's not only hard to find a new technology that can make the process better, it's super hard to educate the people to do things better. And, I had many conversations, even to give you some practical examples, where people just feared that they're losing their job because they know exactly, most of my time I spent with entering data into computers, right? So if you completely automate that process, what happens to me, right? So this is like something where you have to start really taking the people on this journey, and not only from, you have to have the guy on the top to make the decision top down, but you have to take the people, where they are, to have a bottom-up strategy while you're doing innovation, right? So this is one thing. The other thing is, if you do innovation, it's super hard if you have an existing business model to say, now we use new technology and you don't even know what it can do, right? So or to put it different, you're sometimes better off completely redesigning a new organization around technology if you want to be state-of-the-art crazy stuff, right? This is why I believe, in blockchain, there's so many things happening and companies coming up with new concepts and new ideas. They are so far out from a regular innovation context. We will talk about DeFi later, but look at what these guys are doing. It's imagine a bank would create a product like that. It's so out of anyone's imagination in a bank, right? So
Yeah.
This is, I think, the situation we are. Yeah, and I think it's all about, and everyone understood, you have to design business models around technology, otherwise you are losing edge to people who do it.
No, totally. And thank you kind of for that backdrop on kind of that journey in the innovation teams and where the gaps lie. So let's kind of fast forward a little bit. You're working in Germany when I was talking to you, a few years back, and now you're in Thailand. What brought you to Thailand?
I mean, first of all, we found a fantastic team here, which was definitely the reason, but I'm also like have a long history with Thailand. I was living here 12 years ago and always back and forth. And, you know, I saw a big opportunity, not only in the size of the Asian blockchain ecosystem, which is huge, and which, to be very honest, you know, most of the time, if you're from the West, you kind of overlook it because, you know, you don't even understand the internet there. I mean, it's, you know, the English, there isn't only the English internet, which we, you know, always tend only see it, but there's, you know, there's Korean and Japanese. It's just crazy, you know. And our approach was always to build the bridge between Western and Eastern markets, try to help the exposure in the West and vice versa. So I think for us that was a great opportunity, and, you know, that's why we thought, let's start a consulting company here. And being in Thailand, you know, it's good because it's a hub and you're super fast everywhere. Plus, you know, it's a good country to live. The government has started to go into blockchain very proactive, more than most other countries here in Asia, I would argue. So there were lots of good opportunities. And yeah, it turns out, you know, maybe one other very important thing to add is, I mean, blockchain is a very new industry, and, you know, it's key to know people, right? So if you are in Asia, you definitely will build other networks, other personal networks than you would have somewhere else, right? But that's, I think, normal. But then again, you know, if you travel around, and I was traveling around a lot, but if you're like in Singapore, in Korea, in Thailand, you suddenly have a huge network of interesting projects and people.
No, totally. And I think Galen can kind of speak to this. I mean, we have an office here in San Francisco, right? But we also have an office in Bangkok and been doing business there for, you know, over 5 years now in various capacities. Galen, kind of what are your thoughts, you know, being in Thailand as well? Give you a couple of seconds here.
Oh yeah. The ecosystem down there is great. I actually wasn't aware of any like especially preferable laws, so I'd be curious to hear if you knew if you could elaborate a little bit more about what they're doing in Thailand, because although we're centered in Thailand, we don't do that much with like Thai customers or the Thai government or anything.
What's your relationship with the government, Felix? Or do you have one?
Yeah, we had several conversations, especially for Dash, you know, payment, but also the government is not the government, so there's different levels, right? There's the SEC is a very important player who's mostly taking care about investor protection. So there was all this ICO regulation part. In fact, there is now an ICO portal where if you want to do a project, you know, you can apply there. There is like different criteria, what makes your project an officially acknowledged project or not. You know, there is the Bank of Thailand, who obviously takes care about the questions about legal tender. There's the revenue department, which takes care about the taxes, and, you know, all these kind of work together loosely to come out with regulations on different levels. I think the fact that, you know, that Thailand acknowledges it, very proactively try to, you know, put up regulations. I see that definitely more than in other countries and in a faster speed than in other countries. You know, if this is the thing blockchain technology needs or not, I'm not sure. You know, we are moving so fast. Thailand was very much discussing about like how to, you know, every exchange has to have a license, and, you know, people have to do KYC who trade at the exchanges. And now we have DEXs, you know, so it's always I mean, it's always a bit of cat and mouse, right? What we're doing in blockchain. And my approach always is, you know, if you want to do stuff, and especially with Dash and mass adoption, of course, you want to do it legally, you know? So the way I see it, there's different verticals. One is really like the industries, and, you know, it's like there's a difference between high risk gambling and, you know, just normal offline mama noodle shop retail, right? And there's on the other side, another vertical, which is like the different regulations. And if you, again, I said we're doing business in Asia, so it's a completely different story to talk with regulators in Korea than it is in Thailand. And, you know, you have to take the things as they are. But again, Thailand has been one of the ones who really came out with their own regulations faster and more detailed than other countries in the area.
Yeah, it makes sense. So in terms of working with regulations, because I've seen projects from the start work with really heavily with regulations in mind, trying to work KYC or whatever governments want into it. I've seen projects that start out unregulated and then they sort of work with the government to fix it. And then I've seen a lot of DeFi projects that just sort of launch. What they're doing is probably illegal, but there's no phase, nothing to stop or to associate to it. So what type of project do you think is
it seems actually that,
most successful?
What project is the most successful?
Oh, no, I mean, like, what approach of those? Like, what do you think will work the best in terms of getting users? Working from the start regulated, or just never trying to get regulated, eventually trying to work with regulators? What do you think works?
I think it really depends what you do and how rogue you are. I mean, generally, no, I don't want to. Personally, I really don't want to get into any legal trouble, right? So this is why it's very important for us always to do things in a compliant way, right? And I mean, this is obviously, not everybody is like a good and morally high standard actor in this space. I think we have seen a lot, On the other side, it's again what I described before with the innovation. This is what I've seen many times. Sometimes you try to do something and you are so far off with even your whole concept and idea of what a regulator can, even imagine. I mean, what I realized is that most regulators are kind of nice people if you start to talk to them, right? It's just that they never have thought about the stuff or the kind of companies you want to set up, right? So to give you some practical examples, we were dealing with a lot of DAO projects. In fact, in last year, we won the DAO Building of the Year award in Malta with Dash Next and for Dash. So, I really made like this topic of helping people to design DAOs and to do it one of my, my big passions. And we had so funny conversations. It was like, yeah, we have a DAO now, and it does this and this, and there's like money going from there to there in a completely automated way. So should we even register it in any country? And if yes, in what country should we register it? And it turns out no lawyer can really tell you, not even blockchain lawyers can tell you what to do, and sometimes it seems even, having completely no name in something is better. I'll give you another funny example, which I saw on a conference, right? There was like this, there's a Swiss art group out of Zurich, and they were building in a decentralized way. They were building a bot that orders stuff from the darknet in order to ship it to the exhibition they were doing, right? So they programmed a bot in a decentralized way. That means there was not one guy making the code, but there were just different people around the world giving code snippets to make this bot run, right? And then, okay, what does this bot do if it orders stuff in the darknet? You can imagine, right? First, it was like fake T-shirt, and then like came the drugs, and everything was sent to Switzerland, right? So then now you have the legal issue. Who is responsible for it? Is that stuff? Can we even show it in the exhibition? Who should go for jail for all this stuff the bot ordered? And, this is like kind of the level of new things we are talking about. And, I mean, no regulator would ever have thought about it, so that this could happen. And now we are there, and again, I always recommend everybody to take a proactive approach, talk to people and really, try to explain stuff. And usually, they will not shut you completely out or anything. But yeah, sometimes we are just moving so fast. So, I mean, for me, it's very, it just cannot happen that if you build a blockchain company that you have a 3 months delay because you cannot move forward with, any unregulated question.
Well, I mean, blockchain, touches so many aspects, right? It's a currency, it's a ledger, it touches different verticals, different categories. It, flips the table on, I mean, obviously ownership, like who owns it, it's code and there's various, developers contributing in the community. So it's kind of interesting. And so I kind of want to hear, what you're working with Dash Next and Dash Thailand. These are, you're co-founder of both projects under kind of this Dash ecosystem for all of our student watchers and our global audience that maybe have heard of Dash, Dash itself. What's your role? Obviously, co-founder, but what's your project's role within this Dash ecosystem?
Mm-hmm. Maybe let me try to give you a little intro on how Dash works, because I think most people just are not deep enough into Dash to understand. So Dash is like really a truly decentralized organization. We are in fact a DAO before the word DAO was coined and was used back in 2014. The whole governance structure on Dash is a completely decentralized autonomous organization. What does that mean? Dash is like is first of all, it's a Bitcoin fork. It started with the use case of saying we want to do one thing very good, which is crypto payments. In order to do that good, we need fast payments, we need super low fee payments, right? This again was in the time 2014 when there was basically only Bitcoin. So people were discussing how to make things better. As other blockchains, Dash is continuously producing new blocks and giving out block rewards. But the innovative idea was saying, okay, we distribute these block rewards in a different way. 45% goes to miners, 45% goes to master nodes, and 10% goes into project funding. So I think everybody knows what miners is. So what are master nodes? Master nodes are kind of the grandpas of staking, you could say, is everybody who lock away 1,000 Dash can become a master node and has two rights. Number one, you get rewards of 7%, around 7% annually, always like paid out continuously. And number two, you have a voting right. For what do you have a voting right? I said 45% miners, 45% master nodes. So there's 10% left, and this is the whole budget for Dash. And now every operations within Dash, all operations within Dash are paid from this 10% budget. So everybody can work for Dash. Everybody can create a proposal in the governance system and say, hey, I have an idea. I want to do this and this for Dash. This is the budget I need. These are the milestones I want to achieve. This is the timeline I need to do it, right? And then you can say, okay, I need this and this money. I need it for 3 months, for 6 months, for 1 month. And please, can you vote for me? And then these master nodes essentially have to come and vote for you to get funded. And you need 10% positive net votes of these master nodes. So back to me. What we have done, I mean, there's many projects in Dash, right? Some of them are more biz dev focused, marketing focused, development focused. So the most famous group in Dash probably is Dash Core, which takes care about the blockchain development and improvement, whereas our team is really business and marketing focused. And this is why there's this label Dash Next, because we didn't want to put it too much on Asia, but really show that we have a global scale by leveraging local networks here in Asia, right? So what Dash Next is kind of, you could imagine it as the head. In fact, we founded Dash Thailand because it was our start into the DAO, but then really realized fast that most of the stuff we do is even beyond Thailand. So now we have Dash Next, which is kind of the head, and under it is like Dash Thailand. We recently launched Dash Philippines and like other markets where where we have people on the ground who have other local networks and can bring us into other partnerships. And also what I said before, there's different industries, verticals, and countries. In the Philippines, it's very interesting to work on the remittances use case, as it is the second largest remittances market in the world, right? Thailand being one of the top tourist countries in the world with like before Corona, essentially with large tourist numbers. There's Korea with like a crazy crypto community, where it's one of the only countries where you can find your mom would have a crypto account trading on the Wobi and stuff, right? So different markets, different approaches, and yeah, this is kind of the focus we have. But you could also say we are kind of the only team for Dash here in Asia. But by the way this DAO works, Dash has established in the last years to have really teams on the ground all around the world. So there's Dash Core, very much in the state focused, US focused. We have a DACH team, which is the German-speaking countries, taking care about Europe. There's some guys in Nigeria taking care about Africa. There's several projects in Latin America, the famous one probably Venezuela, but also Colombia, Brazil, many countries, right? And and the case for Dash is to solve the chicken and egg problem for crypto payments, because no merchants, no users, and you have to start somewhere. So our approach was really to say, hey, we want to create cool options for Dash. We want to give them, we want to onboard partners as much as we can. And I think we have done a great job in the last years. So we have like onboarded, I don't know, more than 5.
How do you onboard? I think you touched on a few things. So let me touch on this one. Adoption, right? This kind of leads into adoption. There's various ways of adoption. There's Bitcoin adoption, there's enterprise adoption, there's education adoption, government adoption. You guys have obviously have been really successful, with the various teams globally. And maybe we'll keep it to you, and maybe select other few teams that you may know in the Dash ecosystem. But how did you do that? Like, how did you make the dominoes fall in the sense of having merchants accept crypto, right? Having people spend and accept from a merchant, from a user standpoint, from retail. I know you'll touch on like the tourism, which is hotels and travel agencies and airlines. And I think you use Dash, right? Like for everything.
Yeah, I live mostly on Dash in my daily life. In fact,
so how did you? How did the adoption? How did you guys get these people to believe? And I'm assuming this is obviously goes back in time.
Yeah, great question. Actually, you ask, and happy to share that that journey, because obviously we started something like very pioneering, something nobody really did like professionally before, and I think on that scale. So I mean, what we when we started, we really went out and really did it like very design research style to get as much feedback as we can from people. And what I've realized is that most people who are not into blockchain don't know blockchain and don't give really much about blockchain. In fact, most people were like, oh my God, what is that? Like, this is dangerous, this is right? So the most questions we got was, how to handle price volatility if I accept that for my business. Like, how can I have that if tomorrow it can be only 50% less, right? And in fact, we started in a bear market, or in like already when the chance of stuff that this happened was already very high. So we again, we started to talk a lot to people, and the most common question was like, what is the volatility risk? Do I have to invest anything, and is it safe, right? So these were the 3 top things we had to answer, and we answered in a way that we said, okay, if you want to do crypto payments, actually it's not enough to go somewhere and say, okay, I install you a crypto wallet and now you're ready. It's really important to take their hands, to give them end-to-end solutions. So you have to have a middle layer of partners you are working with, and these middle layers are exchanges that provide you fiat exits, on and off ramps, payment gateways, payment providers. Optimally, you are already in the POS system, and have a partnership with the POS system, that there's just one more button, and that there's no friction. People have to do anything else, have to retrain their staff and blah, 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 right? So the way we always approach it now, it's very, very practical. We go to the merchant and say, hey, we have a cryptocurrency payment. It's the same like PayPal, it's the same like credit card, it's just a QR code. And, a fun fact, in Asia, QR codes are super common to pay, very much different than in the Western world, especially Europe. You barely see them. I think in the States, it's also not the most common thing. But here you go to the restaurant and they have 50 barcode stickers already at the door, right? So they know already what you're talking about when you talk about QR codes. So it's okay, we can provide you another payment system. It costs you nothing. We install you for free, and you get money on your bank account. Don't worry, the moment somebody comes, pays with their QR code, the money comes on your bank account. And then what I can do additionally is I can provide you free marketing, because we have millions of people in our networks. In fact, we have different Telegram groups, So I invite you to do free advertisement. If you're a restaurant, you have a new burger creation, share a photo there, give people a little incentive to come, and let them come. And this also goes in contrast to, what else do they have, right? They're using like Food Panda here, which Uber Eats in the States probably, where, you pay 30% at the restaurant in fees if somebody orders that, right? So if I go to them and say, hey, here's a free marketing channel, if you give 10%, you will have a high chance that people come. So you still save money compared to any of these other things other companies can offer you. So it's about really creating use cases. This is very important. You know, the moment you have the first one and the moment you figured out the most common questions, if you approach the next one with a ready-made solution, you have a good chance. The same goes for the travel platforms, right? The first one was super difficult because it took a while, right? But the next ones were, you know, it's getting easier the more you do.
Yeah, no, I think that makes total sense. The evolution of trying to make it as seamless as possible, right? Where are you seeing like the most usage actually of Dash? I don't know if you have any data, but like, are there specific regions that you're seeing Dash more used?
Mm-hmm.
Certain countries?
It's a bit hard to track the data because it's so decentralized, and because the different software tools you use, nobody has to use any software tools, right? It's all like an offer, you can use this or this or this. And I mean the good thing is that we are integrated into almost all exchanges and into almost all the big wallets out there, so it's even more difficult to get data. What we have is we installed one system called AnyPay to our merchants, which is also a free to use POS system that runs parallel to the one you usually have. And I mean, since we started that, we have seen great numbers here in Thailand. We are seeing great numbers in Latin America. So I would say where we are actually, I think we pushed it mostly for just normal daily transactions such as restaurants or a hotel, or I don't know, even my fitness trainer accepts Dash. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. Again, really tourism focused here for Thailand, but we have seen a lot growth in everything retail, everything online retail. Gaming is a very big part of what we do, and of course traveling, and many things, obviously, because still a lot of companies do not accept crypto, so a lot is also going via gift cards for, you can buy an Amazon gift card in Dash on what's in crypto refills, for example.
Yeah, and I want to, Galen, feel free to jump in whenever, but I want to touch on one thing. And we touched on regulation and government a little bit. Would you say that Dash, the decentralization and kind of the DAO concept application has been have worked in Dash's favor as far as getting by compliance and regulation? Like, you guys are so decentralized and governance, in the sense of did that help the overall success of Dash from being shut down like some of these other protocols at one point?
Yes and no. I mean, the funny thing is nobody would challenge Bitcoin to be illegal in the country right now. So the argument is always saying, hey, we are actually the same like Bitcoin. We are a protocol. It belongs to no one. It runs in the internet. Can't do anything about it. Sorry. A bit of the tricky part and a bit of the things which makes sometimes you have to find argument and discuss is that Dash launched as dark coin, with a very privacy focused element in it. But in fact, the privacy function we use is a mixer function that is used in Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever you want. You can put stuff in a mixer and end of story, right? So we had a bit of an issue last year. There were some governments and exchanges coming out and say, oh, we have to do new regulations. So it's a bit tricky, and you have to work with companies like Blockchain Intel to provide data to the regulators to be listed at a local exchange in the country, especially with the fiat pair. And there starts the educational work again, and you have to explain stuff. And I mean, our position is clear. I mean, we are not the privacy coin. This is always the neck breaker for talking to a regulator. And we are not we have a privacy feature, but number one, it's not really used very frequently. And number two, it's on the technical side exactly the same like other coins can do. So the logic for the regulator must be you would have to delist Bitcoin all over the country if you delist Dash, because otherwise, the legal argument does not make any sense.
Interesting. So it sounds like you're in a good position there. I also wanted to ask, in regards to payments, what's the compare and contrast with like a Stellar or like a Ripple? Is there any kind of similarities for our audience that kind of see these other platforms as payment rails and kind of operating in somewhat of a similar fashion? I think Dash is used more, as you mentioned, more a better use case, and we see the use case, everywhere, as you mentioned, tourism and the Philippines for remittance. Is there any kind of difference there between Ripple, Stellar, and Dash?
It's funny that you bring up actually Ripple, Stellar, and Dash. I wouldn't compare. I wouldn't see them as the main competitor. I would rather see Bitcoin Cash, maybe Litecoin as the competitor. In fact, if we look at like what our partners, what people really pay in, it's definitely not Stellar and not at all Ripple. It's Bitcoin, it's maybe a bit Ethereum, it's Litecoin, sometimes, Dogecoin for a fun fact. But, these are kind of the old dogs you would pay stuff with, and that are usually accepted. I mean, I see some Stellar projects there, but, for me, it's very simple. We try to do, again, one use case, and we try to do that good. We try to do that good in, number one, providing a technical way that works. And number two, giving cool options. And maybe one thing which makes Dash really special, and many people seem to overlook, is that we have a feature called Instant Send. And Instant Send enables you to instantly receive Dash and instantly respend it, right? Because we have, again, two consensus layers. One is the proof of work miner network, and one is the proof of service masternode network. And it's a standard for a Dash transaction to send it through the masternode network. That means I can send you Dash, and within 1 second, you will receive it over there in the States, and you can immediately send it to the next person, right? Which not only makes it interesting now to have it as obviously as a payment tool, because I buy a coffee, I can pay and leave.
Yeah.
Not with Bitcoin, I get a coffee, I wait an hour.
The wait.
But it also makes total sense for trading, for margin trading, and maybe this is now where we can also, go make the bridge to DeFi, because it's a cool option to if you trade, to send money around from different exchanges. I mean, if you ever trade a lot, you know how many exchange accounts you probably have, and it's always a pain, and a very expensive pain, to send it from one to the other. So Dash can really also provide not only for payment but also for trading a lot of cool solutions, actually.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And you were talking about Dash and DeFi a little bit earlier, correct? Mm-hmm. Is that something that Dash is planning on moving into a little bit more?
I mean, I love it too much, so I feel like this boy in a candy shop. I didn't have that feeling since 2015, so I'm very, very hyped about it and see a lot of cool stuff that can be done there. So what we have done in the last year was really working with a lot of exchanges, and we have integrated this instant send feature because it needed a bit extra integration after we made it a standard feature, to work with all the big exchanges to have it implemented, right? So the strategy was always to get more traders involved, to get more incentives to traders to start, to get more trading into Dash, get more price up movement and all of that. So this is done, and this has launched already, these exchange partnerships. So for example, Liquid is now a very prominent partner here in Asia, right? Offering a lot of different fiat trading pairs, offering also like a plug and play solution for merchants, what I described before, that they can, accept Dash, get it on their bank account in the most easy way. So, and then came DeFi. I'm not sure how about you, if you have, if you would have seen that coming that big. I mean, we all know about DeFi for a long time. I would even argue, that Dash is one of the first DeFis ever, before, we had to work and be your own bank and everything. But now it's super popular. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. So my perspective on that is I want Dash to be in there. I see these wrapped ETH, wrapped Bitcoins. They have quite some utility for a lot of new crazy stuff you can do in terms of yield farming and everything. So what my perspective right now, and this is an open invitation to everybody to approach me who is listening here and has some cool connections. I'm always super proactive in creating partnerships and open to explore things. So I'm right now exploring with several companies. Can we do a rep dash? Can we do a bridge? And as I was talking about the masternodes before, we already had staking in 2014, right? So why not bring it on DeFi? Why not make it a yield farm, or liquidity pools are something super interesting. I think most of us honestly still don't even see the potential of it fully yet. So there's a lot of new stuff, and I think the first step, as always, you have to start somewhere and create something, and then it gets more easy. So for me, the first step really would be to have a bridge into other blockchains.
Yeah, I think that'd be very cool. Is there a way that you think Dash would be able to accomplish the staking side of the ecosystem? Like for if someone wanted to bridge some of their assets, they might not be able to stake them. Do you think the ecosystem would need a way to do?
You are breaking up a bit. Is it me or is it you?
Yeah, no, I think it's Galen here.
Okay.
He'll probably come back. But
okay, but I got the question.
Yeah.
I didn't figure it out yet, and I'm still wrapping my head around, and every day I'm reading so much about DeFi. So what I told you last week will probably completely different than what I tell you this week, and next week is going to be the same. And this is okay. I think I think that all of us have the same feeling right now. So we have to see and evaluate the chances. I'm not sure, as I understand, there's even different solutions how you can do a wrapped asset, right? There is right now with Bitcoin, we have the centralized ones where people pay fees to get in and out, and somebody has the custody of these assets. They're completely decentralized solutions which are only working with smart contracts, right? I would first of all question if it's the right approach that Dash is the custodial of anything. I think that wouldn't work, and it wouldn't even work with the decentralized kind of structure we have on a legal level. But I'm exploring right now with several partners both of these decentralized and centralized opportunities, and see what can be done. The way I see it is actually there's so many protocols that have a wrapped Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, and 20 other things. Why not just have Dash as another thing? And I can help to provide extra value, volume, and all of that, and connect the dots.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense.
So talking about DeFi, I mean, obviously things have been picking up lately. What else? What other projects are you following outside of the Dash ecosystem? I'm always curious to know, what my friends are also looking into. What's kind of catching your eye?
Honestly, every day 20 new. I have a huge list of stuff that is, super interesting. I'm also a bit scared, I mean, I was just trying to get any projects that have less than a 10 million market cap right now. It's almost impossible to find them. It's just like it needs 1 hour to reach that threshold, right? Where, I mean, I was helping some other companies a couple of months ago, and I was telling them, it's like you go in with the 5 mil evaluation from the start. That's crazy. Like, it's like, what company has 5 million innovation without a product, right? And now it's like, who needs a product? Who needs anything, right?
It's funny you bring
you don't even need white papers anymore.
It's funny you bring that up because Galen and kind of internally for the last couple of months, we're like, wow, I think like 2017 might be kind of rolling back around here, right? Like projects are coming out, they're getting money, coming at them. Some have products, some don't. Are you following anything specific though?
Again, I'm following too many things, but probably I think the most outstanding one in a way is YFI. What they did for me, it's really kind of a radical
improvement of stuff, and really like in a completely automated way that, that number one cuts down the time you need for funding, that completely cuts down the people you need for funding. One guy can do it in a very short time to release something that has crazy value, that is doing something very intelligent, and that actually is kind of, taking something that was already there in the old financial industry to make it now a crazy new thing on steroids for DeFi. For me, it's like kind of resembling a bit of what we had in the financial crisis with cocoa bonds, and, taking that, rebundling it again, reselling it, and rebundling it and reselling it, but now it's like kind of a machine who does it in the most efficient way to get the best yields somewhere around, right? I get it. It makes sense. It's an idea that, I can immediately say, yeah, there's some sense in it. But again, there's so many other projects out there, big and small ones. So I'm not the right one to give any investment advice, definitely.
Sure. But outside of names, though, what do you like? What do you think that's really cool? I think you brought up like liquidity pools and like yield farming. Like, is that stuff pretty interesting to you, or what else are you seeing in the DeFi space that sparks your interest from an innovation standpoint?
I was actually saying for the last 5 years, I'm still wondering that my stock market trading account in 1998 and like in this big internet bubble honestly had more features than any of the exchange accounts, right? I had like stop losses, trailing losses. I could go long, I can go short. I have fantastic chart analytics, news tools, all within like a tool from on a Netscape browser in 1998, and I'm finally seeing that coming to blockchain. A lot of these projects popping up. I wouldn't say necessarily we are at the point where using DeFi is in any way better. Right now, we're like taking a step back to get better products, right? To do all that crazy stuff. So, I think for me, it's a bit of, you can kind of cheat by build, or cheat is the wrong word, but you can explore what projects you build by just looking into the last 30 years of financial markets and the crazy products they built, right? And do it on steroids in an automated manner without any middleman in between, and you're good to go. And I think exactly that's what's happening, right? And by doing that, we kind of realize there's even no other things. I'm not sure how deep you are into all the market making and liquidity pools, but there is a massive shift going on there from a decade-long history of order books to completely, you don't have order books anymore. You have like kind of a curve now, right? Which is like, it's so crazy and so hard to wrap your head around it, because it's deep. You need deep financial markets knowledge to get even why this is important. And I think it's a lot to learn for all of us. It's now the new skill is not only to know about blockchain. The new skill is to know about financial markets and what's possible with blockchain, how you can really redesign something. And I think it's not many people out there who are really that deep into it to pull it off.
No, yeah. I mean, Galen probably knows more about me, but all these projects, kind of what they're working on. As you mentioned, the order books is automated. The liquidity pools is pretty interesting. The swaps, the interoperability, all on code, right? Like, for instance, Uniswap, right? Like, that was, I think, Hayden, the co-founder, built that product, that V1 in like, 6 months or something like that. It was like pretty crazy. So that's really cool. But I think, I think there's so much room. So it seems like you want to kind of get Dash into this game, right? Into this DeFi space.
Yeah, absolutely. I just see it a good fit for what we're doing anyway, right? And just the next level of opportunities and more machines in between, to do stuff in an automated manner,
And what do you do, and how do you get that developed? So you would propose this to the community and kind of go through the process of getting some of these products built out?
Yeah, it depends. It depends. But we're rather doing the lowest hanging fruit to do stuff in this decentralized community is if you find a partner who is doing the integration, and you kind of support it around with marketing, with maybe a tech guy who can answer questions, with regular phone calls of how you can do stuff. We have even, it's not only DeFi. I have we have a good partnership with a company called Threefold, for example. They want to build a new internet and build like a completely decentralized storage structure. So they were just showcasing on how you can run a decentralized Dash masternode or even normal Dash node on their new decentralized service system as an alternative to hosting your masternodes on Amazon or something. So there's different levels, and again, I'm always happy to partner with someone who then integrates it, showcases it, and we help pushing it, and therefore also bringing new customer to these partners.
And I know we're kind of running up on time here. I kind of want to throw this question out with sovereign nations and countries turning to like the digital, digitizing fiat, the digital dollar, China doing the same thing. What kind of benefits does that have for a project like Dash?
I don't know. I think there is a tendency that governments want to get rid of cash, and there is a tendency for people who seem not to like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that has opportunities or not for Dash. I feel, again, what I said before, that's rather the thing I've realized, and none of my friends in Europe has ever paid anything with the QR code, whereas almost 100% of my friends here have used the QR code to pay something, So I feel, especially Asia, if you look at these numbers, it's a huge growth for anything non-cash payments, and this non-cash payments does usually not go into credit cards, but into QR code payments. If you go to China, Alipay, WeChat Pay is seriously everywhere, and it's like, this kind of fact in the West, it is there. But if you have ever been in China, you are, it's just different, and even, I was there last year, right? And I forgot to install my VPN, right? So I ended up like, oh my God, like Google is not working, right? And I was like crying like a little baby on the floor because Google is not working. How can I get it? Right? So how do I find my hotel? And so there's different regions, and I'm not sure if it's government banks versus anything else. I think it's a shift in payment. People get used to it, and honestly, also cash sucks. For me, it's nice that it's anonymous, but it's painful to get it. It's painful to always reorganize it. It's kind of dirty with COVID, and it's just easier to have directly pay with my crypto. So for me, it has a user experience benefit.
So that's kind of my thought as well. I think you're just going to have options, right? There's going to be kind of your sovereign fiat money, and then you're going to have a crypto option, and this whole borderless, remittance, and we're still so much. We talk about DeFi, we're talking about all these products and projects, and we're so deep in it, right? Like we've been in this space for a little bit, so we see it. And when we've talked to other people, maybe they've heard of Bitcoin a little bit, but we are so deep in this game, and I just think there's going to be more options to, having some money kind of in the system and some money out of the system, and being able to maneuver much quicker. I could send, I get paid in Bitcoin, right? So, I get money sent like pretty quickly. We could transfer money, via stable coins, right? Across these networks and rather quick. I haven't gone into the bank in probably like 2 years. It's
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Plus, for me, it's even more funny. I'm like a German guy living in Asia, earning in crypto. Like what's even the price reference? And for most stuff, it's still USD, and it's like even the most crazy, right? I grow up in euro, I pay in Thai baht, I earn in crypto, and my price reference is USD. Is like just it's a bit weird. So I think we all see that government banks are pushing too much money, and devaluating it, obviously, so for me it's a kind of a no-brainer. What is the better alternative? It's
So
not USD.
We'll probably wrap it up in a couple minutes here, but ultimately, are you satisfied? Like, not satisfied, but are you happy where we're at in terms of this kind of blockchain crypto journey from Bitcoin launching in 2008, Ethereum launching in 2015, and then you have Dash came out. What was it, 2014 or 16? When did Dash?
14.
14, right? Well, kind of an OG in the space, a fork of Bitcoin. So, are you think? Are we headed in the right direction from a technical standpoint? It seems like, talking about DeFi and all of this innovation, it seems like we're there. And from my perspective, and just want to get your thoughts on where you see us now, and are we in a good spot technically?
I think honestly we have been always in a good spot for the last years, and I just love this, this ecosystem. It's like I feel I never work. I just do 24/7 what I really love, and I cannot even stop myself, to read another article on this and to have another phone call with this and this.
All day.
It's so funny that all blockchain, everybody who's working in blockchain is working 24/7. Nobody's ever complaining about his job. It's quite the opposite. It's like what? It's like Sunday is not. You don't take calls on Sunday.
For sure. So, all day. All
fantastic,
day. Yeah.
And I mean, again, if you ask me next week or in 2 weeks, I will probably tell you another 20 new ideas, because we can count in dog years in the speed of this learning, and it's great. So I think we're always in a good space.
No, totally agree. Yeah, and I think what probably speeds it up is the developers, right? And these communities, right, that are building on top of things and kind of elaborating on kind of the innovation. We have a lot of students right now, watching this and various enthusiasts, but what would you say to kind of the up and coming youth right now that are going, taking computer science courses and programs and majors? We built this education alliance. We sponsored, UCLA's first blockchain accredited course over the last few years. We took a long-term bet at the education level, did our own education platform because, as you mentioned, the industry moves so quick. The students were moving quicker than the universities, and still to this day. So what are some last-minute tips and maybe advice to the startup founders coming out right now, out of college and kind of figuring out what to do? You have any tips or advice on, what they should do and how to advance their knowledge or maybe career?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think an entrepreneurial mindset is, it's very hot right now. I think everybody has it anyway, right? But I mean, the thing is, look into, what makes businesses successful, how people are doing it, and if you then also have the ability to make the code around it and to build the technology around it, you're top notch already, and it can't be wrong. It's I think it's also, it's like not blockchain is not completely a different reality or something. At the end of the day, many things come back if you have like crazy evaluations of hundreds of millions of companies that don't even have a product. Look at history. That usually never goes a long way, let's say, right? So I mean, do your homework, read a lot about that stuff, and always connect yourself back to the what your mom would call the real world.
Oh man, I mean, I've had these discussions, right, of acquiring users and like generating revenue and having a business model, right? And blockchain is a tool, because at some point, it is now blockchain is a foundational layer for IoT, right? And AI and machine learning and robots, transferring data and information kind of down the road. We've been talking about currency and payments because that's kind of what Dash's focus is on. But in the end, you're totally right. Like, you need a product. Make sure you focus on a product. Keep your valuations. Try and keep them low as much as possible and grow, right? Have room to grow. And in the end, have a sustainable business model and generate some revenue at some point before you crash and burn.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up here, Felix. Where can people find you?
Yeah, please follow me on Twitter, Felix Mago _dash. Mago is MAGO. Or just follow me on LinkedIn, Felix Mago MAGO.
Awesome. Well, we've had a nice discussion here with Felix, a friend of ours and a friend of mine for Facebook years. We appreciate your time. We just touched on many aspects of blockchain, ranging from payments and country and governments to communities and kind of how important it is to have a use case first, right? And kind of formulate that and think of blockchain as part of the solution. And in the end, to kind of conclude what our thoughts are, we share similar views, is make sure you love what you do. Make sure you have a sustainable business model, as much as possible, and have some fun. And aside from that, for all of you watching here, this is the Reimagine 2020 second edition. You can catch this fireside chat interview coming up here on the YouTube channel or on the website. Visit ri2020.io. We'll be doing this every month. So Felix, we hope to have you back. We did this with the pandemic and everybody working at home. Our goal and objective was to educate our viewers and our global audience, and to bring the best content from industry leaders and global thought leaders such as yourself. So again, we thank you for joining us here. And for all of you watching, please tune in to Reimagine 2020. And we'll be back every month throughout the year, actually. So thank you, Felix, for joining me this evening.
Thanks for having me. Great conversation.
And we'll talk again. We hope to have you back.